Hello and welcome to Web Relates. Today we're looking at the Malicious Compliance subreddit. Our first story is by Social Unavailable. You want to call my mom because I don't want to die? Okay, call her. It's my first time really using Reddit, so I apologize if it's not the best formatted. I was recently reminded of a malicious compliance I did as a kid. For context, I have an extremely bad peanut and tree nut allergy. If I eat or touch peanuts or nuts, I can go into anaphylactic shock, meaning my throat closes up and basically I'll choke to death. I carry an EpiPen with me at all times because of this. Additional information on this teacher. She hated children, like the type of teacher who yells at kids if they got something incorrectly. For the sake of keeping everything anonymous, I'll call her Mrs. Idiot and refer to myself as me. With that out of the way, to the story. I was in first grade, and by this time I had a good grasp on how bad my peanut and nut allergy was. Always read labels, never eat others' home-cooked meals, and that I shouldn't trust someone just because they say, "I don't think it has nuts in it." If you don't know, then don't offer those foods to small children, who may not know any better. It was first grade, and I was having fun colouring something on paper, waiting for my teacher. As I was finishing drawing, my teacher got out a fun activity worksheet involving candy. If I remember correctly, it involved counting or something math-related. As she was passing out the worksheets and candy, I noticed that they were M&Ms, which I'm allergic to. The interaction went something like this. "Mrs. Idiot, I can't have these, I'm allergic." "They're original M&Ms, they don't have peanuts in them." "But my mom says I'm allergic to the originals too." "They're fine, you can have them." To this day, I don't know why a teacher would ever tell a kid with allergies to eat something the kid thinks or knows they're allergic to. Also, while original M&Ms don't have peanuts or nuts directly in them, they're made on the same equipment as peanut M&Ms. This exchange went on for a while, with the idiotic teacher telling me that they're fine, and me saying they're not. I think the teacher actually believed I was purposely trying to annoy her. Mrs. Idiot said, "If you don't stop behaving, I'm going to call your mother and you'll be in big trouble." Younger me realized that my mom was just going to say the same thing. Instead of telling her that, I sat there and smiled at the teacher and said, "Okay, call her." I remember wondering why the teacher just didn't believe me. Looking back, that teacher definitely hated being told she was wrong, especially by a first grader. The idiot teacher looked annoyed but smug, I guess thinking that my mom would yell at me for not wanting to die, or have a giant needle put in my thigh and being rushed to the hospital. Now, I don't know the full exchange between my mom and the idiot teacher because this was so long ago and my mom doesn't remember exactly what was said. Just that she was extremely angry. I know she tore into the teacher because me and everyone who was present in class could hear my mom yelling through the phone. I think for the first time ever, I saw my idiotic teacher actually nervous. After my mom tore the teacher a new one, the teacher brought me to the corner of the room and handed me a bag of Skittles, which she apparently had the entire time. It sucked being alone for the activity, but I happily did my assignment, eating my packet of Skittles, knowing fully well my teacher was simmering at her desk, annoyed that a 7-year-old knew better than she did. Later, it was revealed that my mom sent an email to the school's principal, which luckily for the idiotic teacher's case, was my mom's second draft and had nicer words in it. That teacher had to do a refresher course on allergies by the nurse, which was shown to her already at the beginning of the year. I guess my school was desperate for teachers because she continued to teach at that school, even though she had other incidents. As much as I'd like to say I ate the M&Ms and watched as her career tanked, blowing up like a Thanksgiving Day parade balloon, I did not. As the wise Sid the Sloth said, "No thanks, I choose life." I've seen a few teachers like this, and I never understand it. This case is literally life and death. Our next story is by Impossible Mine. I thought I mastered malicious compliance. Then my wife showed me how it's really done. For this story, you need to know that I am the kind of person who will go a great distance for a good laugh, as you will see below. I love this story, and we tell it every once in a while, even though it has been more than 20 years. I live in the US, and I own an IT support company. Many years ago, I used a cell phone company named Nextel. They had this great push-to-talk feature that turned your phone into a walkie-talkie, which is perfect for communicating with co-workers in my IT work. However, their customer service was a nightmare. Any time I needed to contact them, it would take at least 30 to 40 minutes on hold. Eventually, I had to switch to a cheaper service, which meant getting a new number. Now you can port your number to a new carrier, but back then you had to change numbers if you switched carriers. I cancelled all the phones on our plan except for mine, which I downgraded to an emergency plan costing about $10 a month. I left the old phone plugged in at my office and set my voicemail message to instruct callers of my new number. The phone just sat next to my desk on a shelf, plugged into a charger, so that I could see if anyone called. I could also hear the phone make a sound when it disconnected from the cellular network, and then a different sound when it connected to the cellular network. It connected and disconnected constantly there in my office. I would estimate that it only stayed connected to the network about 50% of the time. After 6 months, I decided to cancel it. I had to wait on hold for the customary 30 to 40 minutes just to cancel my service. After telling the service rep that I was always dropping off the network and that I had already switched services, they verified the service problems on my account and cancelled my entire plan. I wasn't under any contract at the time, so there was no problem cancelling my service with Nextel. As expected, I got my final bill. It was somewhere around $10, since that was my monthly plan. Just the emergency plan, and I didn't make any phone calls. I paid the bill and was happy to be done with that carrier. Then the next month, I got a bill for 4 cents. Yes, just 4 cents. I figured it was a clerical error and ignored it, expecting them to write it off. But no, each month another bill for 4 cents arrived. I was incredulous. I checked the postmark and saw that the postage to send me the bill was costing them 10 times more than the bill itself, and they kept sending the bill every month. I could have paid the bill, but it seemed ridiculous to write a check for 4 cents and spend more on a stamp. After 6 months, I finally had enough and decided on some very petty, malicious compliance. I decided to invest the 40 minutes on hold to call Nextel to work this out. By golly, if they wanted my 4 cents, I would give them my 4 cents. I planned to wait on hold for 40 minutes and pay the 4 cents with a credit card, knowing it would cost them more in fees. I told my wife about my plan, thinking it was the perfect malicious compliance story. But my wife, the true master of malicious compliance, suggested an even better idea. Call and ask if I could make payments on the 4 cents, splitting it into 2 payments on my credit card. OMG, I was in the presence of malicious royalty. I called, waited on hold for 40 to 45 minutes, and finally got through to a representative. The representative sounded like one of those airport terminal attendants who act like they are checking your reservations, but instead they are writing a Stephen King-length novel. I could hear the clickety-clackety sound of the keyboard. The female representative was constantly typing as I explained that I had cancelled my service, but kept getting the final bill and proposed making payments. The representative, typing away, said she'd look up my account. As she typed away at her keyboard, I explained that I had gotten the final bill and that I would like to set up a payment plan to take care of the outstanding balance. I told her that I would like to pay half on my credit card today and pay the remaining half the following month. She was agreeing with me and typing away when suddenly she stopped typing and went quiet. "Sir," she said. "Yes," I replied. "Are you aware of the balance amount?" "Yes," I said. 4 cents, she said. "Yes," I said. "I figured that you really wanted that 4 cents because you keep spending all this postage to send me bills each month. So I'm just calling you to take care of it." After a brief silence, I heard the clickety-clack of the keyboard again, and she said that I would not have to worry about the balance because she was writing it off. I insisted on giving my credit card for the first half of the payment, but she firmly dismissed it and assured me I wouldn't get any more bills. My wife's suggestion turned a simple prank into a masterpiece of malicious compliance. I may be good at it, but my wife is on another level, and you really have to want to do malicious compliance to wait on hold for 40 minutes. Edit 1. Thank you to all you kindred spirits of malicious compliance. I wanted to post an edit to show what I've learned from this great community. Although I have fond memories of the story, my wife and I both laugh at the other, possibly better options of dealing with the situation. First, a couple of commenters stated that I was stupid for waiting on the phone for 40 minutes to do this. Yes. No argument there. But my first line above states that I will go a great distance for a laugh. However, no customer service reps were injured in this exercise. The conversation only took a couple of minutes. I saved the company money because they fixed their stupid error. They stopped spending more on postage than the actual bill, and I was working in my office while I was on hold. So, a little time traded for a funny story. Second, some people had great ideas for other possibilities. Most suggested paying slightly more than the 4 cents, so that Nextel would have to deal with the refund. Then Nextel would constantly have to send me statements in the mail. I like this. And if Nextel ever sent a refund check, I wouldn't cash it. I know in my own business that when a customer writes a check for a penny off, it causes me at least 5 minutes to fix. Sometimes it even takes a little longer, so this option appeals to me. Peacemaker suggested paying it with British pounds to make them deal with conversion and a refund. I love this. Do you know how much that would cost me? I would definitely do this next time. Squibbit suggested taping 4 pennies to the bill and mailing it in. I wondered if taping 5 pennies would generate more issues for Nextel and give me that 1 cent credit. There's something very funny and ironic about communications companies that you can never get a hold of them. We had an internet service provider that we cancelled our service with and got a different provider. But then every couple months they'd send us a bill, and it would take 40 minutes on hold on a call to get a hold of them and say, "We are no longer with you guys, you are not providing us internet." And they would say, "But you have to pay the bill." And we'd say, "Check the usage." And they would go and they'd have a look at the analytics, and they would see absolutely zero usage on internet from their side for us. And every time they said, "Sorry, we'll fix this problem." And then every couple months, we'd get another bill and have another phone call. Okay guys, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment and subscribe. And then I'll see you guys in the next video. Enjoy the weekend. Cheers.